Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Bloodstained Community Broadcast. I'm your host, Mike, and with me I have our brand new community manager, Mana. So please say hi to everybody, and thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mana. I recently came to ArtPlay as the new community manager.
So you work for ArtPlay. I was always wondering, was it going to be an employee of, like, Inti Creates or something? And Matt Papa told me, no, it wasn't going to be an employee of Inti. So it sounds like ArtPlay is actually a little bit more involved now that there's at least 2 employees that work for ArtPlay that are also contributing to Bloodstained.
Right. I didn't know at first because I personally talked with Iga, and he told me that he needs a translator, like, as soon as possible. And I was like, I thought he had a translator, but what he really meant was a communication manager. It's like a communication and community manager. So they're 2 separate, like, job titles.
Okay.
A translator and also like a community manager for like the English forums and stuff like that. I thought I was going to be a personal translator, but
yeah,
I'll be like an employee under ArtPlay. So we're going to be like a team of four people.
Okay, so communications manager and community manager. So we'll just call you CM for short, I guess.
Yeah.
So do you spend a certain amount of time on each one during the day, or is it just whatever has priority, just whatever needs to be done, you do then?
Whichever one has a priority, because every day I come to office and then I read the emails and then I translate it. So like during the daytime, I'm usually just the communication manager, translating emails, contracts, and all that. But at night, I check out the forums, like, on my off time. So that's when I become, like a community manager instead of, like, a communication manager.
I see.
So, yeah, it's a little bit different.
Okay, so how long have you been with ArtPlay?
This is literally my 10th day at work, so very short.
Wow. Okay, so when did you move to Japan? Because last time I talked to Ben, he said that the community manager was currently moving to Japan.
Yes, I moved here December 16th, and I came here around 5 p.m. Japan time. And I was at Narita Airport, and he was like, hey, I'm gonna go pick you up. And I was like, like, usually they don't do this. So I was like, okay, I'm waiting here at the airport. And he picked me up, and he drove me straight to office, like that day, on the 16th.
Wow,
and
that's cool.
He introduced me to Ida-san and Watanabe-san.
Okay, I'm familiar with Ida.
Yeah.
Who is?
Watanabe-san?
Yes.
So he's also part of, like, the ArtPlay, like, the designing team. And I think it started out with Iga and Watanabe-san at first, and then Ida-san came in afterward.
How many people work at ArtPlay?
From what I know, there's literally only 5 people. There's the president, the CEO, and then there's Iga, who's, like, I guess, my boss. Iga's in charge of ArtPlay, but there's also someone above him. But she's not an active member, if you know what I mean. And then Watanabe-san and Ida-san are both designers, and they also help out with the development, but I think they leave the majority of the development to Inti instead.
Okay, so they just control the direction of the development?
Right.
So really, ArtPlay, it's not like I can just go out to Google and search ArtPlay and find something. It's even if I did, it would probably be in Japanese. The only thing that we've kind of seen is that Iga, when he left Konami, he went to ArtPlay.
Right.
That it sounded like he just started working for some mobile developer, but really it's kind of a small group that works on whatever projects they need to. What else are they working on?
I think currently Bloodstained is the only project they're working on right now.
Excellent.
So basically, ArtPlay was interested in Iga's project, so that's why they teamed up, even though they're like a mobile gaming company.
Okay.
But I think that's going to change a little bit afterward. Even to me, it's kind of like, I don't know what ArtPlay actually is, except for the fact that ArtPlay is like the main game designer of Bloodstained, if you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah. Well, this whole time we've all been thinking that Inti was, really doing everything, and that Iga wasn't even going to write code for it. He would just be directing it and writing the story. Right. But it sounds like everyone's more involved at ArtPlay than we originally realized. And I think that's kind of cool, because, we really put a lot of trust into Iga, and the more control he has over stuff, it's just something that we like to hear.
Right.
how did you get involved with art play? Did you apply to that job, or were you approached? How did all of that come about?
Long story short, it's not either of them. It was just knowing the right people at the right time.
Okay.
Before coming to art play, I was a freelance illustrator, and as a freelance illustrator, I talk with other illustrators and other companies, clients from Japan actually, and my friend who used to work for Konami, I think she worked under Iga back in the day.
Yeah.
Is now a freelance illustrator, and I was asking her for advice. I wasn't doing too well in my art career, I guess. So I was like, what could I do? Is there anything going on? And my friend's like, well, I could go ask Iga. I'm like, well, what do you mean you can ask Iga? And she was like, well, you like Castlevania, and your art is very like gothic, and it's it fits perfectly with his style, yada yada. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure, you're gonna go ask Iga. I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go ask Iga on Facebook. And I was like, I thought she was joking when she said that.
Right. So I wouldn't know what to think if someone said something like that.
You're gonna go ask Iga? Okay, sure, And then the next hour she's like, hey, Iga said he wasn't looking for an artist, but like he's looking for a bilingual staff. And I was like, did you tell him that I'm a Japanese girl from New Jersey, or like you didn't say anything about me, right? And she's like, no, like he's really looking for one, right now. So I was thinking about it for a while because I'm an artist. I still want to continue drawing, and
right.
This is a new job title, like a new job, like can I do it? So I was thinking about it for a while. But like how could I miss this opportunity, working with Iga? Because before, as an artist, I used to work for a lot of mobile gaming stuff. With mobile gaming today, it's more fast-paced and disposable.
Yeah, they all need more content like as soon as possible, and then once it's there and it's used, then they just need the next piece.
Right. So when I was like thinking about that, and even though I was drawing and it's something, I didn't feel accomplished doing those work. And then when I thought about switching job, but doing something that's worth it, something that'll keep going and has a clear fan base going on. Mm-hmm. I think that's the reason why I took on this job. Because before it was like, this game is gonna go away soon, so
Okay, well, hey, that means you have experience in the game industry.
Yeah.
Doing illustration. It was told to us that Iga would be able to do things outside of art play, that he could freelance. That's what we thought Bloodstained was, the side thing to art play. But apparently it is the art play thing. Do you think that you'll continue to pursue a career in art and do freelance work for game art, or are you just setting that to the side for a while to focus on this new position?
Both. I'm actually setting it aside, but I still want to continue it, because before I was not doing too well with it. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to take a break, Yeah. I want to take a break. So that's why I jumped in.
This will definitely give you some exposure to some other areas of the industry. So I'm sure that, it can't be a bad thing to have this on your resume. Yeah, so is there any chance that you would do any artwork for Bloodstained itself?
No. For Bloodstained, I'm not. I'm just going to be a community manager. Mm-hmm. But, since Iga is cool like that, he's like, if you have any artistic suggestions, we're happy to hear it,
Oh,
okay. I could voice my opinion at art play.
All right.
Otherwise, I'm not, my art has nothing to do with Bloodstained.
Okay. So how is the community going to communicate with you? Is it mostly on the forums?
Yes, mostly on the forums. I think that's the only way they could communicate with me right now. But okay. I am thinking of, opening up like other places, wherever they could find me. I'm willing to hear it.
Did you move to Japan just for this job, or were you wanting to live in Japan anyway?
I moved just for this job. I did think about moving to Japan before, because most of my clients before were Japanese, so I thought it would be a good idea but I just didn't have the guts before. So, I just took this opportunity and just went for it.
That's really brave, and what a huge decision that is to make in life. And here you are on day 10, huh?
Yeah, day 10. And there's so many information coming at me,
I can only imagine what it's like right now. I really appreciate you doing this so early.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, before you're even announced. So, how long have you been reading the forums?
I've been reading the forums around, right around before PAX Prime was going on.
Oh, really? Okay. When submitting game suggestions, there's a whole board dedicated just for that, and people can have conversations about their own suggestions for the game. And then from that, someone will say, okay, I would like to submit this conversation because it's been developed enough and there's enough good ideas here to actually want to pass on to the design team. So they'll flag it. Yeah, they'll say, hey, here's a link to this post. Could you guys, make a submission for this to send to the design team? And at that point, we take it down and make like a bullet point of all of the ideas that were talked about in that thread. And we just kind of break it down and just try to get the simple ideas out of those and cut out a lot of the adjectives and things that might be hard to translate. So there's already a good amount of them, plenty of stuff for you to go ahead and start translating, quite a bit, in fact. And I know that people are still submitting design requests. I know that Crocodile, one of our forum members, he's really good about that. He'll go and find the most juicy ones and he'll make a submission of those. So when you look at those, just let us know if having the bullet points that are kind of condensed and trimmed down are better, or if it's better for you to just look through the whole thread, and just give us some feedback on if that's the way that you would like to continue with the way we're doing those.
Right. I think it's great. I think this connects with Crocodile's question about what are our responsibilities on our end. And, today I asked Iga, how do you want to see the forums? How do you want to interpret them, or what do you want to see the community do? So he said to have the suggestions rolling, keep the suggestions coming, but however, since we can't pick up every single suggestion, our responsibility as a community is to gather similar suggestions and make it loud in numbers. So if you could just gather a lot of opinions, but group the similar ones. That will make it that'll help us a lot. Like, for instance, if you make a thread and say, what are your thoughts? People could give their opinion, post it, but also agree with similar suggestions that other people made. That would really help us a lot.
Yeah, well, we've got tons of that already, and it's good to know that it's going to be used because it was really going quickly at a certain time, and then it kind of slowed down because we were like, is this really going to get heard or not? Because I can't certainly talk to Iga myself.
So what Iga said was that he can't pick up everything, but if you're loud enough, if the community is loud and make it clear that everyone wants this, then he'll listen. He's really into it. So
well, I guess our first order of business then is the Save the Goofball mission that we are on. So we were asked which familiars we liked better, and they chose one, and then the rest kind of go by the wayside. But we would like to see Goofball revived since it's such a good little character.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. All right. So let's see. Moving on. The community seems to require that our community manager be a fan of Iga's previous games. Have you played any Castlevanias in the past?
Yes, and I also feel the same way. My first Castlevania game was Symphony of the Night, which I'm sure a lot of, almost everyone played, but, it's still my favorite game to this day. And, I don't want to, fangirl, but,
No, that's okay.
I have to
Please.
Say, I have to say, I have, 4 copies of the same game, so it's
it's out on so many good systems, you can get it in several different packages.
Right. for the PlayStation, they have two versions of it, like the black and silver disc edition, and then there's the Japanese edition with the art book and the soundtrack. And then I also bought like the digital copy for my PSP. So.
Have you played the Dracula X Chronicles on the PSP?
I have, but I didn't clear it, so I can't really say much about it.
There's secrets that you can find within it, and it actually unlocks Symphony on that disc, so it's part of the same game.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's when I played it on the PSP. It was because I unlocked it within that game.
That's something I have to do. Like back when I was in, like middle school, like I wanted this, like the Sega Saturn so badly because I heard, like the internet wasn't big,
Yeah.
How should I put it? And when I heard that the Symphony of the Night for the Sega Saturn version was a little different from the PlayStation version, I was like, oh, I want Sega Saturn, like,
So did you you got the Saturn version too?
No, I couldn't.
Oh,
no.
yeah. I've never played it either. Yeah, as much as I love that game, I've never played with Maria, but I've watched some people do it online. It seemed pretty cool.
But I have to be honest, like even though I love Castlevania and the series itself, it's mostly like a nostalgic feeling for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I haven't played it for like the last 10 years, so
That's okay.
Just to be completely honest, I haven't been able to like dedicate myself on gaming, ever since I became a working adult.
Mm-hmm.
So, that I just have to put that in front.
No, that's fine. At least you've played the game and loved the game. That's what I'm sure people wanted to know. Personally, that's not an issue of my own that it's required that you be a fan of Iga's previous games. I think it would be more professional if you're kind of neutral in the communication between us and the design team. That way it's not largely influenced by the way you like your Igavania games.
Yeah, I also intend to stay neutral when I'm working with Iga and the team because I really respect Iga and the rest of the art play team. I intend to stay neutral and stay professional as much as I could.
Okay.
So, as I can.
All right. As far as art goes, since you're an artist, I think that Bloodstained has some amazing art. I'm a huge Yoshitaka Amano fan, and my wife has given me several Amano art books on special occasions, and when it was revealed that Amano was doing a poster for Bloodstained, I more than doubled my pledge. Are you an Amano fan as well?
Yes. Here's another Amano fan. Yeah, I love his works. His works influenced a lot of my art. I think I saw his first work for Final Fantasy, and then I haven't read it yet. But Vampire Hunter D.
I'm a huge Vampire Hunter D fan.
Oh yeah, I saw the art first, and then I was interested in the book.
Yeah,
and I even went to New York Comic Con when he came to New York 1 year, and got my art book signed by him.
No,
that was awesome.
I'm jealous. I don't have anything signed.
He even does a quick sketch on the book cover too. It's really awesome.
Man. Well, if you want to post a picture of that on the forums, I would like to see it because that would be cool to see the little whatever he drew on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also a fan of Ayame Kojima's work in Castlevania. Her artwork is amazing. I've always loved it, and I think that her artwork and Yamane's music really define the style that kind of helped make Symphony of the Night the masterpiece that it is.
I 150% agree. No, 200% agree. I think what really draws me into Symphony of the Night and the Castlevania series is because it's artistic and it's the atmosphere so well. Kojima was a huge inspiration of mine when I started drawing. So, everyone would come by and see my art and say, "Hey, do you like Castlevania? Do you know Kojima?" I'm like, "Yeah." I love her stuff.
Well, that's cool that they can tell that that you've been inspired by their work because it shows through in yours.
I didn't even think that her work was a part of my work too. I was just drawing. I like her stuff, but it's I love her paintings, but I didn't know it's been such a big influence on my art that I could recognize it. And the music makes me remember the stage and like the feelings I had going through it. So that's another reason why I like Castlevania, like, and Symphony of the Night, is because the music is so memorable. Like when I hear like a lot of the tracks, I'm like, oh yeah, I had to go through that, and then there was this monster, and you know, like I had so much trouble going through this, and you know, like it's just so amazing how like a music could like make you remember all that. And then my favorite track is like The Tragic Prince.
I love her music, and I'm really excited to see what she does for Bloodstained. It's cool that art and music can exist outside a game but still be tied so much to it. And I think that's one of the most attractive things about Iga's previous games, is it's got something about it that you can relate to even when you're not playing it. You can still make it part of your life.
Right. And, you know, I love the fact that even though it's a game, like it's a game, music, art, and everything, like this could work. If you see Kojima's artwork in a museum or a gallery, like it wouldn't be, how should I put it, like it fits, you know? Like with the Yamane-san's work, you know, it's like you could just listen to it not knowing that it's from a game, but still find it really, really amazing.
Yeah, that's so true. And I do listen to it outside of the game so much that, you know, it's really just a style to me. So I think it's great that Iga has allowed us to give us our input on the shaders. Were you involved in helping bringing our opinions to Iga, or is that, you know, before those last 10 days?
Well, I think it's great, and it definitely helped Iga and the team to improve on the graphics. I believe I was getting ready to move out during the time the shader votings took place. But I did help out get the results across Iga and integrates. Oh,
okay, so you were involved. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what do you think about the shaders yourself, your own personal opinions on those?
I like the first shader, I think. But the colors looked a little better on the second one. That's just my opinion, but
well, that's just my opinion too. I don't know if you saw on the board, so I took the colors of Shader 2 and put them over Shader 1, and I liked that a lot better.
Yeah, and I think the lighting is slightly different from the first and the second shader, and I believe that they're fixing that, you know, because I think the second one was a little too bright, like it completely washed out her face, just, you know, I think because of the lighting. But otherwise, I think I like the first shader.
I do. I like the first shader better. But there was some design changes in Miriam's appearance that we noticed, and that was her hair doesn't seem as dark in the shader pictures as they do in the concept art. Right. Her skin seems like it's not as pale, and she's got an extra little bit of clothing on her shoulder. Are these permanent design changes, or is this still all just, you know, like way pre-alpha stuff and nothing's set in stone at this point?
Regarding the colors, there's always going to be a difference between the concept art and the 3D model of it. So the colors, I believe, is just the reflection of the background and, you know, where she's at. Mm-hmm. And I think it's improved in the next shader update. So stay tuned for that. And,
I'm anxious to see them.
Yes, I can't reveal everything, but I'm sure, you know, like, yeah, everyone's gonna like it. So, regarding Miriam's clothes, there's a small, like, how should I put, like, clothing on her shoulder.
Yeah, just a few new pieces of cloth around there. Right.
I actually asked Iga about that, and he didn't realize it too. Actually, he's like, really? There's a piece of cloth on this, you know, like. Well, the thing is, when she's moving, she has like a scarf behind her, 2 pieces of scarf behind her, and that's attached to her shoulder. And I believe that's what's on her shoulder. And I think you could take it off, but I'm not sure. I can't really say so.
Well, that is some really interesting news.
Yeah, so it's not. I don't think it's like a design difference per se, or maybe it's detachable, I'm not sure. But I think because when she's running or when she's moving, you kind of want more movement in your clothing. Uh-huh. So that's why I think that's the reason why they attached that scarf behind her. So I think that's the only design difference.
Okay. So there were several threads on the boards in response to the shaders, and we couldn't see the votes from the Google survey that Fangamer sent out. Do you have results from that?
I got a summarized version of that. I believe it's the total results for survey 1 and 2. And those the pros and cons for each. That's all I got. Okay, so the total results. There were 2,677 votes. Survey 1 votes were 1,966, which is 73.4%. And survey 2 votes are 710, so that's 26.5%.
So people favored 1 over 2?
Yes.
I see.
And then, what was funny was that the pros and cons, a lot of them were the same. So either they liked one or the other. Like the survey 1 pros were that it was warmer, it's colorful, vibrant, easier to see. But then the cons were also like it's too bright, too warm, too shiny.
Yeah.
Let's see. Survey 2 pros and cons. Builds on the painting, stained glass aspect, unique, like a book illustration. Hatched lines are unique and more like Symphony of the Night.
Mm.
And then the cons were for the shader 2 was much too washed out, too saturated. Armor looks worse, too flat. Lines are tough to separate visually from shadows, and Miriam doesn't look good.
Well, it must be fun to gather and communicate those results. But I think that overall, from what I have gathered from the community, is that they really like Shader 1, but they want a more gothic feel to it.
Right. I think what the team was talking about was that the first 2 shaders, Artplay is the design team of Bloodstained. So whatever they give or make suggestions for Inti, they're like, you can do better, and like they try to improve it as much as possible. So like regarding shader 1 and 2, let's see, from a design point of view, they were saying that it looks too like toyish, like how someone else said that it looks like a dollhouse, I believe.
Yeah, that would be Castle Dan. Thank you, Castle Dan, for coining the term dollhouse look.
Dollhouse look, yes. And they completely agree. Artplay completely agrees, and they want to do something to improve it. So, maybe it's because it's too saturated, or the background lacks texture, but they're working on it. They're they also agree with that.
Well, the dollhouse term came into being because of the perspective. When people think of Symphony of the Night, it's orthographic projection, to where you don't see the floor, you don't see the ceiling. It's all, you just see a straight view, and there's no perspective to it. And as opposed to like a more 3D game, to where you can see the tilt of the floor and the ceiling. And I ran a poll for that on the boards, and it was in favor of orthographic, which is the flat style that we've seen in the old Castlevania games. Some were saying that with the perspective on it, with the more that you can see the floor and the ceiling, they said it made it look like she was standing in a dollhouse.
Right.
Is that what you mean when Artplay is considering changing the dollhouse look? Are they going to remove some perspective, or what do you mean?
I think a little bit of both, actually. What Iga was saying, that he's not interested in doing an orthographic, perspective. He says that it's gonna be perspective, but they want to keep that like illustration look to it. So he's listening to everyone about that full 2D look that they want, but he has his mindset on making it a perspective.
All right, well, I'll be anxious to see how much perspective is on shader 3 and 4 when we see that. There were some great fan-made Photoshop shaders, and I'm not just talking about the ones I made. A fellow named Mario Santos, a.k.a. The Plot Twist, he made some great 2D sprite pictures that looked really good, and I think it would be really awesome if you could show those to Iga. Not to say that's what we want, but just to say this is like a sprite version of what you showed us. It was a very impressive picture. I can send you a link to that.
Yes, please do. Is that under art or? No?
It is. It is under the art section under the forums.
Okay.
Okay, and also to the forums, I just recently added another feature. It's a page I've named the Igaverse, just because it's short to fit in a navigation bar. Mm-hmm. But it connects our forum with all of the other Bloodstained related places around the internet. It's got dynamically updated windows to official Facebook, latest Tumblr submissions, YouTube and Twitter, as well as unofficial places like various Facebook pages and groups, the Castlevania Dungeon's latest Bloodstained threads, the Bloodstained subreddit, and even it does a search and returns results for NeoGAF's latest Bloodstained threads. And let's see, I've got YouTube playlists for Bloodstained music that are done by fans, and a playlist for this show. And people can submit more communities by clicking the image at the top of the Igaverse page, and then I'll take them to the old kind of community area where we used to talk about, if you've got a community out there that you would like to share with the official forums, we can, we can elevate that and make it more visible and, just get people talking more together. One of my passions has always been about connecting Bloodstained fans together. And now it looks like we have you to connect us more directly with the design team. So I think that this is a pretty important step in the project, and it's a really cool time to be watching it. I was surprised by how many votes we got on those results that you just shared with me. Not everyone connects the same way, but I'm glad a lot of people had voted for what they would like to see in Shader 1 versus Shader 2. But I would encourage more people, to talk about the game with each other, and maybe even with people who don't know about Bloodstained yet. So I hope I'm seeing more of that soon.
As a community, I really want, everyone to talk with each other, With forums and things like that, people tend to just, voice out their opinions and just doing that. But I want more people to, talk with each other. Mm-hmm. So hopefully I can join in and talk with everyone and know people. Yeah.
So part of the stretch goals was including several stages that were supposed to be like old school gameplay. Mm-hmm. Do you know anything about that? I have no idea if they're even looking at stretch goals when they're probably just laying down the foundations for the game now.
I don't know. They were talking about Miriam's movement and the way it should feel like a 2D game, but it's 3D. They want to make it fast, responsive. But other than that, they haven't really talked about the retro, aspect of it. Yeah, not yet. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I was able to ask the fellow members over at the boards if they would like to ask our new community manager any questions, and I got a couple of quick responses, so here they are. Let's see, we already talked about Crocodile asking about our responsibilities on our end to help make the game successful as fans. You asked Iga directly about that, and he's open to suggestions.
Well, as a community, he wants you guys to, gather as a huge group. Mm-hmm. Let's say if someone suggested something about the game design or something, and, other people are like, yeah, I totally agree with you. And if you guys have, any similar suggestion, or if you feel strongly about something, he wants you to gather with the same kind of people,
I
people
see.
With the same opinion. So it makes it a lot easier to hear you guys, and makes it, how should I put it?
No, I've got it. Whatever suggestions we have, we need to put value on those based on how many people agree with those ideas. So we need to find a way to say, hey, here's our bullet points for this idea, and these are how many people are saying yes, that they agree with this.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure we can work something out to figure that out. Okay, so Gunlord, who is a moderator there on the boards for us, he says, have you held similar positions at other places or for other games? And if so, how does this kind of differ from your previous experiences?
I have been in a position as an artist / moderator, I guess, for a large forum-based community. And my job there was to make items and listen to users' feedbacks and then fix any glitches they find. So I guess it's sort of, it might be similar to a community manager, but not really, you know. But how this is different from my job before is that, you know, this game isn't even released yet. So things could change, and I can't make absolute promises. Like, even though I have a direct, you know, contact with Iga and the team, you know, they could say something, but they could also change their mind very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the differences. You know, not only do I maintain a community, but I also have to be a translator on a day-to-day basis. And that's slightly different from the community manager that I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Goop Sausage came up with quite a few good questions, and we'll just start picking apart those questions now. So, Goop Sausage asks, what is the biggest misconception about your role as a community manager that you'd like to get out of the way right now? If any, I guess.
I think one of the biggest misconception, or, you know, I don't really consider it a misconception really, but as a community manager, I am a fan, but I might not know as much as you or the rest of the backers about the game or about Iga, if you know what I mean. How should I put it?
You're not an Iga encyclopedia.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there are things that I don't know, so I think that's one of the biggest misconception. You know, even as a fan, I have to stay neutral. My role as a community manager. Well, my business card it says communication manager, but
that's fine. We can change that.
Yeah, it's great. It's fine. But you know that also means that you can think of me as like a portal to the creative team. So
I like portal better than like bridge, because people can walk all over a bridge, but we're not going to let anybody walk all over you. Okay. So how did you learn about Bloodstained's Kickstarter campaign?
You know, before this, I was literally like living under a rock. Like, I was so busy with my freelance work, and you know, I just shut out all social media and whatever. But all my friends knew that I love Castlevania, so anything related to it, once the Kickstarter campaign happened, all my gamer friends sent me the link to it. Like 10 people sent me the same exact link to the
Awesome.
Bloodstained Kickstarter campaign. So I'm like, well, now I know, you know, like, yeah, someone else sent me this before too. So that's how I...
You got avalanched by friends. That's good. Okay, so which console do you plan on playing Bloodstained on? And if it's going with PC, is it Steam or GOG?
I plan to play it on the PC and on Steam, but eventually I'm thinking about buying a PS4, so I'm thinking, you know, I also want the PS4 version too. But
Yeah.
just I guess.
I'm a whole generation behind right now. My wife and I don't know to go Xbox One or PS4, but I'm definitely getting it on the PC. But it sounds like PlayStation is the popular choice by most of our community.
Yeah.
Can you hear my cat meowing?
Yes, I could hear. I could hear you.
So would you rather have a digital or a physical copy of Bloodstained?
Can I say both?
Sure.
I'd rather have a physical copy of Bloodstained, though. You know?
Yeah. Because this game is so important to me, I want a physical copy, but I don't have a problem with having all of the digital copies of the digital games I have. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, big question, sword or whip?
This is hard. But I gotta go with sword, because I like Alucard.
Yeah, well, I think Ego went that same way, and I did too, so I'm okay with that decision.
Yeah. Okay.
Are you allowed to give your personal opinion or feedback on Bloodstained's direction, or pitch ideas to the creative team in public?
Yes, since Ego knows that I draw, and he told me to feel free to give any artistic suggestions. And I'm also allowed to post on the board, so like, you know, I could join everyone else with, you know, the design ideas and, you know, suggest whatever I want.
Okay.
You know, Iga is Iga, and he'll probably be like, he'll do his own thing. So we could suggest as much as we want to. So
yeah, and he's it all comes down to whatever he wants, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that one of the things that he wants is to make us happy, and you know, he's given us a good way to talk to him. But yeah, I trust whichever direction he goes. I know it's going to be good on any little decision. So, Okay, so how much power do you have when it comes to forwarding ideas to Iga then? That was one of Goop Sausage's questions. That was the next one.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have a direct line to Iga. I mean, it kind of is intimidating for me to think about it, but is he in the same building with you right now?
Yeah, he is. There's only like I said, there's only 4 active members in this office, and Iga's here every day at the office. And how much power do I have? Well, apparently he sees everyone as equal. So like, if I have anything to say, he's like, just tell me, or like just tell everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sort of shy, and I don't want to, like he's like this game creator that's been, in the gaming industry for a very long time, and it's really hard for me to like say my opinions, but like he's really he's a very like genuine person, and he's like you're too serious, you gotta you should talk more, so how much power? I guess the same as everyone else,
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say that relative to other gaming companies, you have a lot of power then. Yeah. But your power is our power, right?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so Goop Sausage's next question is, what game do you feel has the biggest impact on your life?
It's definitely the Symphony of the Night Castlevania, hands down.
Because it affected your art style and...
yes.
Yeah?
Art, music, it's so hard to come. Well, nowadays not so much, but when I was younger and Final Fantasy was big, and even though it was artistic, and I feel like as a game, Symphony of the Night was so well done in my opinion. Like music, the art, and just the atmosphere of it was so good. With other gamings, I'm like, hey, I like this art, but not so much the music, or there's something I like about one thing or another. But with Castlevania, I felt like they were all equally well done. The story, the music, the art. I think, especially the time I played it when I was like 10 years old or something, like 10, 12 years old. So I guess that's one of the reasons why it had like a huge impact on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it rude to ask you how old you are? Because
I'm 24, so I'm probably in the younger range of like the Castlevania fans. But I started my first Castlevania with Symphony of the Night, and then later on, I was really into the Castlevania series. So I played the older games when I was like, already in my 20s. So I can't really say that I'm with like everyone else, who are in their like 30s, 40s playing the first Castlevania, but I really do appreciate like the earlier Castlevania games.
I'm in my 30s and I didn't play the first Castlevania until way later. I started with the second one though. With Symphony being so focused on for this being a spiritual successor, I think that's the game that people focus on the most anyways. But it's good that it's had that much impact on your life.
Actually, Castlevania Symphony of the Night was my first game. The first PlayStation game that I bought.
Alright, so what is the crown jewel of your gaming collection?
Oh, it's definitely my Japanese version of Castlevania Symphony of the Night. The one with the art book and the soundtrack. That is my crown jewel.
Excellent. What are some of your interests outside of gaming?
Outside of gaming, there's a lot. I draw. I knit. I do knitting. I go out a lot, but I like anime.
What animes are you watching?
I've been watching really old animes actually. The recent ones I've been watching were JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Attack on Titan. Some of the older stuff is really good.
What are some of your favorite?
Some of my favorites. Oh, this is hard. I have to say, though, the first season of Fullmetal Alchemist was definitely one of my favorites. Yeah.
Well, Bloodstained's got alchemy as a major component of the setting, so that's really cool. Yeah, I like a lot of anime, too. Most recently, we just finished watching all of the available One Punch Man, so
yeah.
Have you seen that yet?
Oh, I haven't seen the anime yet, which which I should, but I've been reading the original like webcomic version of it. Yeah.
Yeah, my wife's really buying the manga, so she's she's got more content than I've seen on it because I stopped with the anime. My wife and I have recently watched all of Parasite, and I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, I heard the manga is really good.
It seemed more scary when I read it than it appears to be, on the show. But yeah, that's good. A lot of people on the forums like anime too, so I'm sure you'll have plenty of people to talk to about that. All right, so how well do you know Japanese?
It's kind of hard to say because I grew up mostly in New Jersey. My Japanese. I started freelancing, being a freelance illustrator 5 years ago, and that's when I started using a lot of Japanese. Before that, I rarely talked in Japanese. Maybe to my parents, but with my siblings, I talk in English. So I barely use Japanese then, but now I use Japanese constantly, through emails and things like that. Mm-hmm. But I can't write it. I can't write Japanese. I could type it, I could read it, I just can't write it. But how? So I think I know Japanese pretty well.
So what part of your job are you looking forward to the most?
Mostly just talking with everyone. I've been always cooped up in my house, and I don't have the chance to talk with everyone, talk with people. So as a community and as someone who likes similar interests or the same thing, I look forward to talking with everyone about it and have fun with it. And I also look forward to traveling with Iga. He told me that he travels a lot, so I look forward to that.
Awesome. That is an excellent perk. So yes. What do you think will be the biggest challenge you'll face as a community manager?
Talking, speaking, and also, I guess, translating, like on-spot translation. That's something I want to work on, and that's probably something that's very challenging for me, because I'm usually not a speaker type of person,
Yeah, so if I was to ask you on the spot to translate robust and luscious beard...
Yeah, I was like, no. It doesn't come to my mind. It'll probably come to me like 5-10 minutes later after the show's over or
I gotcha. Okay, so Coop Sausage also asks, what is your favorite moment in your career so far? Which is... You can say for the past 10 days, or you can include that into, your previous career as well.
Oh, my favorite moment. I guess my favorite is, well, this is before, coming to Japan and being part of our play, but I guess my favorite would be when I went to PAX to meet Iga for the first time. I think, it was just, I guess, magical. I don't know how to explain my experience, but as someone who's been cooped up, like going to PAX and being like surrounded by people who love gaming, it was just great, and so I think my favorite was going to PAX and then meeting Iga. And when I met Iga, he was like super tall, like 6 something, and I was just like, wow, he's so tall. Like, I'm only maybe 5 feet. And he's like a foot taller than me, so I think, yeah.
I hear he's a pretty tall guy.
I'm like, oh, he looks so scary. Like, is it okay, But he was super, super nice, so.
Let's say a feature, promise, or stretch goal that was promised or promoted in Bloodstained's Kickstarter campaign ends up getting cut from the game in mid-development, or some other bad news like that happen. How would you deliver the bad news or handle the reaction from the gaming fans on the internet?
Well, this is quite tough, and I'd have to say clearly that if that does happen, that it's going to be cut out. But with Iga and the team, I'm sure there's going to be a reasonable, how should I say, a reason for that. So if I could get the reason across to the fans, I think, I hear that the Bloodstained fan community is very mature. So I feel like even though I say all these, bad news, I feel like they would understand.
I think we would too. I guess the question behind this question is to really just kind of gauge how you would handle a lot of negative reaction from fans or just the internet in general, because you're about to be exposed to, the internet at large.
Mm-hmm. Well, with any sort of negative reactions or comments, I want to handle it. I want to give them the reason for whatever that's happening, like if anything bad happens, I'm going to give them the reason why they're doing that. Mm-hmm. So if reasons don't work, then I don't know, like I would just have to sort of like talk it out, like make them understand. I'm not gonna go, like crazy or,
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, if we have to get to it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We'll do the best we can to keep everybody respectful. I mean, the forum does have rules about personal insults and stuff and language, but we're pretty relaxed, and we haven't had a real reason to enforce a lot of rules lately. Mm-hmm. But anyways, okay, so yeah, good answer. Yeah. All right, final question. Purify Weird Soul asks, there's a lot of cons and events like Games Done Quick. And do you plan on maybe visiting some of those places with Iga, since travels might, he mentioned travel. And do you guys plan on sponsoring a donation for like Games Done Quick?
Oh, this is something I'd have to talk with Iga. But something like this, we could always, suggest it to Iga. And if he's interested, we could totally do it. But at the moment, I don't know. I know he's going to be visiting some of the larger conventions.
So, in the conventions and places that Iga's going, are you going to be alongside Iga in those things?
I haven't talked about it yet. I know that I'll be assisting him, but, with conventions, I know he's going to be doing, like, the interviews and things like that. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if I'm doing them or if Ben is doing them, because I know he probably knows more about this, with the interview and things like that. But I might have to do it, eventually.
So, Purify Weird Soul also asked, what are some of your favorite other games, and what is a game series or concept that you would like to see revived via Kickstarter or some other means?
I really like Shadow of the Colossus and like the Eco series. Oh, The Last Guardian. Huh. Yeah.
His second part of the question about revived games, is there any games that kind of fell by the wayside that you'd like to see get a revival?
I really want to see more 2D, like artsy games coming out. I'd like to see more of that. A lot of the AAA titles are 3D and very, very realistic. I want to see more, like illustration style, but like a lot of the indie games are like that already. Yeah,
the indie games are great for that kind of art style. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, it's really good to have some relief from a community manager, because we've sorely needed someone in your position for a long time now.
Well, I just want to get it out there that I didn't come from a professional like community manager background. So if you guys have like, any suggestion or like how to control or manage a community, I'm more than, happy to hear.
Yeah, well, we'll be supportive, and we'll do the best we can to gather up all of our opinions and suggestions and make them easy to translate.
So far, everyone's been like really nice and, very supportive. I'm really grateful to like Iga and Ben Jredd, and like they've been taking me step by step. This is how we do it, and so I'm learning. I'm still learning, so.
Have you decided on your forum username?
My forum username? Not yet.
No? Okay.
It might be the same as my my email.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, thanks so much for spending time with me and introducing yourselves to all of the rest of the community.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, anytime, really. I hope to have you back on the show again.
Okay, great.
Well, Army of the Night, that about wraps up our show. After we recorded this conversation, Mana mentioned me that she was enjoying replaying Iga's old games to freshen her memory up on those experiences. Sometimes I need to get in touch with her about various forum things, and I must say that I'm extremely impressed with how professional and how quickly she takes care of things. As always, thanks to those who have contributed music to the show. Links should be in the description or on the forums, and I hope to see you there.